want a Chippy Tea. Chippy Tea, Chippy Tea. I want a Chippy Tea. Oh, you keep giving me posh nosh, you don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tea.
And in the red kitchen,
You got stuck up your nose. Fucking tampon. The fuck, you weirdo.
It's my vape, innit? It's my vape.
I think you're doing it wrong.
My Vic's vape.
If
That's
it,
what I thought it
fucking,
was.
if it buzzes, you're in trouble. What the fuck you doing?
It buzzes.
Oh. You found that in your lass's handbag and thought, I know what this is. Smells familiar.
It's a what? A suppository?
It's supposed. It's not real. It's supposed to. Sorry.
You having a beer? A Zipfer?
Yeah, it's called a silverfish.
A silverfish?
It's called Zipfer, but the locals here, well, the Austrians call it a silverfish because it's just fucking tiny and insignificant.
Right. Just a
Like
sports
the
can.
silverfish that come on when you turn light on in bathroom.
That's right, yeah, you get a bit bathroom, don't you? I feel a bit left out now when I got a Coke.
Okay, let's go for it. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's just fucking get into it. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this. Hold on tight, you suicide riders. The louder you scream, the faster we go. So, welcome to episode, help me out, Danny. I want to say 49. No,
I was going to say 47.
46, 47, because we were 46 were your favourite, weren't we?
Yeah, don't mind me, I'm just stick up in. Carry on.
Okay, not a problem. So, episode 46 of Chippy Tea Podcast.
No,
What is the Chippy Tea
47.
Podcast?
47.
47?
Look, it's welcome to episode 46, 47 or 48. It's one of them. We ain't got time for this shit. Let's crack on.
It's 47. Welcome to episode 47 of Chippy Tea Podcast. What the hell is it? It is your chance to catch up on a weekly video call, a regular video call that me and Danny do, to keep in touch with what the hell we've been doing this week, what's been going on, what's been driving us crazy, what's lit our worlds on fire, and you know what's. Can you hear me, right?
Yeah, sound perfect.
Microphone's next door.
Oh,
Is that better?
it is actually. Yeah.
So it's your chance to catch up with a bit of a natter, a chinwag, of a soft drink that we have between me, Tony P from Palm Print, and
Danny D from Flippin' Sweet Print Co.
Smooth as. So you get to listen in and hear us waffling on. It's supposed to be screen print related. I've had a complaint today.
Go on then, hit me with it.
Somebody has seen me today at the show and complained that the Chippy Tea podcast waffles on too much about stuff that ain't screen print.
Do you know, that's funny actually, because I had this thought today. I was thinking, I'll listen to a couple of other screen print podcasts, and I thought, isn't it boring just listening to screen printing all the time? Sometimes they just want to talk shit. Shall we just cut it up?
The guy that said this to me and told me that, I believe
Is he wearing an anorak?
His nose is still bleeding from where I punched him square in the face.
What's his username?
If you are listening, Maxi, hi. So this is a guy who I see at Long Beach quite often, and he's always asking me questions about screen print. Always, he's really into screen print. He's obsessed with it. It's got a place in Israel, and
Wow.
he's always asking me questions. And eventually, he's pushed me so far. I've said, "Look, Maxi, stop asking me questions. Get me over to your place. Let's put a line under this altogether." Thinking that he'd never do it, and last week he booked me tickets. So,
Oh, sweet. So you're off to Israel?
So I'm off to Israel. Yeah.
Wow, that'll be interesting. You
Go
been
help him
before?
out. You say interested. Do you know where it is? Because I had to Google it.
A desert?
Possibly.
Was that
Yeah.
racist?
No. So it's in the middle somewhere. So Tel Aviv.
Do you think it'll be Tel Aviv now? And I've seen an advert for that on YouTube. Well, that's quite a vibrant city. Or so the advert tried to paint it out to be anyway.
Okay. Well,
Tel Aviv.
I'll let you know.
You can go on holiday there.
So we'll see. I know. Maxie's been talking to me for 3 years constantly, trying to improve, and I've given him tips. He's gone back and said it didn't work, and so I need to go over and prove to him that it's not you, it's me. I'll change. I need to prove that that it does work, but there isn't a sticking plaster you can put up over everything. It has to be a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this. Getting the mesh selection right, getting the blade selection right, getting the colour order right, getting the artwork right, or getting the ink type right, because he struggles to get a good quality ink.
It's amazing the difference it can
Wilflex
make.
is probably his best chance. Well, Wilflex is his best chance, but getting a supply out there is difficult. So, and it's like 30% more expensive. So it's a fine balance. But
it's amazing how...
on that.
I'm sure you will. It's amazing how... I'm quite stubborn. And I'm thinking back to a couple of episodes where I've had a problem, and the first place I go is the fundamentals. Think about everything. Think about blade, mention, mesh, tension, etc., before saying, right, the product's shit. You know what I mean? And so I've been printing with, like I say, about the black ink. Switched to black inks, and I cannot believe the difference it's making to my printing. My forearms and everything are so much happier because it's not one stroke, but literally you pull it.
You went to Mixer-Pick, didn't you?
I went to Mixer-Pick, and I'm bloody enjoying it. It's great,
yeah.
And I tell you what, it works.
It's a good manual ink, yeah.
Works really well with my little Aquaflex base plastisol top colours, because it's like you literally print your Aquaflex base and then hit your plastisol Mixer-Pick colours on top. One hit. So sharp, so crisp, no pinholes. Works a treat.
Good. That's what we want. That's what we're after.
How's that? Is that enough screen printing for you?
Is that enough screen printing, Maxie? Are we done now? It's a bit technical.
Hey, I got a nice offer the other day from your mate over in Germany. Is it Timeless?
Timeless?
I say your mate. Is our mate. We can share mates, can't we?
The internet connection's not fantastic. You are dropping in and out a little bit, but
our mate at Timeless, who was saying next time you go over, I can go. I can be a little apprenticeship.
Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah.
I'm well up for that.
I think
pay me in beer.
My visit was so successful and almost left him with a happy face, which, if you know Lucas, it's a big ask. No, he got his spider. He's happy with that. They did some good work between them, and so far I think it's been a successful visit. It must be if he wants to get me and thee back. Dream team.
Fucking right. Just pay me in beer. I'm well up for it.
Larkin. You can pack this printing larkin. Come right well with me.
That'll be fun, won't it?
Yeah,
that'll be fun. So since we're on the time limit, you want to see me show and tell?
Yeah, let me see. I've got a show and tell as well.
I know you. I thought you might have. I'm hoping you've got two, because I saw some.
I had to steal it at end. I've forgotten about it, so I've just stolen one at end.
I've not sort of got these out
specific. Did you see that?
Oh my god, that is a delay. I did see it. Right, I've not got these out specifically for podcast. It's just what I have printed today. So
okay.
These are... Is it backwards?
No, it's right way for me.
Oh, yeah.
Take over strength. Have you done the back neck?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, of course.
I'm interested in...
You can't see it.
I'm interested in back necks. What mesh count did you use for your back necks?
90. Always 90s. And I use...
Oh, that's one higher than I thought. But are you using plastisol or water-based?
Plastisol.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So would you go 77?
Would you have to hit it a couple of times to get it cleared, or is it okay on one?
I hit it once.
My issue with underbases and that higher mesh is, especially with manual, judging how much pressure to put on so you don't get that show through on the other side. It's difficult on an automatic press that will remember the settings that you made last time. I should imagine it's almost impossible on a manual where muscle memory's got to stick and don't press too hard.
I have no problems whatsoever. in the early days, neck labels were quite tricky because, like you say, you don't want it to show through. But now it's it's a combination of muscle memory. I know how much pressure to put on every time. I know what squeegee blades, a nice sharp squeegee blade. I use an eye mesh, a 90, because I don't want a lot of ink through. I don't care. So bear in mind, it's like a mid to light grey, and I don't care if this isn't a print flash print white. It doesn't really matter if there's a tiny bit of grainy texture to a neck label. Who gives a shit? So I just hit it once, a nice sharp, medium pressure pull, no bother. And if you go for like a mid to light grey, maybe a cool grey 3, 4 maybe, that will show on just about every colour, apart from maybe like heather grey. So it's just a standard procedure to do. Fairly
I like
standard.
I like it as a technique. Like I say, it's just the skill level requires a little bit higher on the manual than an auto. But other than that, same parameters you said, except I would use a 77 because I think because I know I've got a bit more control. I can dare to go. I can dare to go a little bit harder. Do you know what I mean?
Big bollocks over there.
Don't be a dick.
So that was the first shirt I printed today. Back print.
So plastic on top of Aquaflex?
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same again. I'll be honest. There's not 3 screens there, there's only 2. But come on, it's about that big, it don't matter.
Two bases?
Yeah, print, flash, print, white.
Okay, and that looks good on Aquaflex print, flash print is really nice.
You can get away with it.
And because you've only got one colour, what was your mesh count on your red? I'm interested because what I teach people is the way you just did that. The mesh count on the red almost doesn't matter because it's going down the dryer next. So I'm interested to know what mesh count you picked for that red.
90.
Okay, because I honestly believe if you picked a 43, it would still work.
I think so, but I think you might start getting bleed.
You shouldn't because nothing's happening after it. You're curing it straight after you print it, and you're not sitting a colour at the side of anything. You're printing onto dry white.
Yeah, but you're putting a little bit too much ink down on top of an Aquaflex base. I might be wrong, but that's sort of my experience and sort of what I've done for a lot of years. If I printed
double pull the red,
no, one hit. Because as soon as you start getting into the territory of pulling 2 or 3 times, you start to get that splodging. So if you want your super sharp crisp,
that's
this is why
splodging.
There we go. So this is anyway. So that's a coolish print. It's not too bad.
I like a nice clean print like that.
Well, in the opposite fashion,
right? I'm not being a dickhead.
Check out
it's
these
actually
babies.
Frozen.
It'll come up. Give it a minute.
There we go. Oh, wow, big area.
You like
with
that?
A base?
Yep, base white.
Oh, did that frighten you a little bit?
No.
Check you out, confident little fucker.
Well, I've done enough of them by now. I've been doing it 10 years. It's it wasn't. So the image isn't 100% based. It's not based underneath the entirety of it.
So there's base under the light pink and the yellow.
That's right. Yeah. So like you can see in the highlights there's like white base. Some of these bits are white base, but it's a light coloured top.
Okay.
So the text has got a white base, etc.
Nice and clean, that mate. Nice and clean.
So I tell you what, it is, and actually I'm super happy with the way they've turned out. I had a nightmare registering them. It was one of those jobs. You know when you used to have one of those jobs, right? No matter what I do, I take one step forward, take 50,000 million steps backwards. It was a bit of a pain.
How long do you think it took you to register?
Oh, it took me half a day. So basically, I was here. It was yesterday's afternoon job, and I spent yesterday afternoon trying to register the bloody thing. Eventually, I gave up. I said, "Right, I need a fresh set of eyes on this and a fresh mindset." And I came in morning, did it perfect, no bother.
Sometimes you've got to zoom out. You've just got to step back and zoom out sometimes. Yeah, and there's no logical rhyme or reason for that. Sometimes you just got to walk away from it and go, right, okay, I just need to go and have a biscuit. sit down, a little cry, and come back tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, it will just, I think all it will...
It looked nice. Looked nice.
Yeah. I think one of the things to remember on a manual, something not to skip, is zeroing your press every time you want to register a new job. Because I feel like the more, do you not agree? I can see in your face you don't agree with that.
I sort of agree if you're using a film pre-reg system, but I've been telling people lately, and only over the last 6 months, to skip that part and don't go back, but always zero your base.
Yeah.
Zero your base, leave the others as they are. There's you've got an open clamp system, so it almost doesn't apply to you. But if you've got a pin registration system, don't re-zero, don't go back to zero on your other heads, because chances are, if we had to give them a number, okay, you start on your base at 0, 0, 0. There's 3 planes, back, front, and up and down. So we've got X, Y1, and Y2. If we start at 0, 0, 0, and then the next colour we register is 0 plus 1, 0. Because that's what it needs to. We've moved it plus 1 to make it register.
Yeah.
Chances are, if the next job we do, we go back to 0 on it, chances are we'll go back to 0, 1, 0 again.
Yeah.
So we're constantly moving from what is a perfectly aligned frame holder back to our perception of 0. And
that makes sense.
It's only because it doesn't have a numerical value that you don't register it.
Yeah.
Don't register. Don't think about it.
I guess if you've got
the press that I'm using now has that full GPS coordinate system. The press I was using over at Timeless, when you move the manual reg, you get a display of those 3 numbers.
Oh wow, cool.
Y1, Y2, and X.
Oh, I like
so
that.
when you move it left at the back a little bit or up on the right a little bit, the number changes from 0 to 0.2.
I like
know,
it.
Yeah, it's quite a simple solution, but it's good, isn't it, for a visual point of view?
Yeah,
from a visual point of view, it does really work well because it gives you a set of, if you like, GPS coordinates that that head number 2. I'm always moving it 0.3 at the back every time. Yeah. So that must mean it's not me that's shit. It must mean that the alignment of that head is always 0.3 off. Well, I just make that 0.3 my new 0.
That makes total sense. I like that a lot. I think on a manual, you can spend. I mean, yesterday I spent half a day going. So trying to get it bang on my veg point, going, oh shit, I'm slightly too high, for God's sake. Oh no, now I've overshot it, I'm slightly too low. And you go back and forth. But if you had like a natural physical, I've talked about having a click. If you had a click, just
so the MHM has a click.
You know what I mean?
The MHM's had a click for the last 10 years. The Rock introduced a digital 000, and the top MHM has step motors that are controlled to 000.
I like that.
But
cool.
They're all a good way of getting to what we perceive as 0 or home, going home, if you like.
Yeah, interesting. So in my case, I would say on a manual, if you've not got some sort of pin registration system, zeroing out before every job is, I would say it's a wise thing to do. Just start from 0 point. Especially if
gives you maximum movement,
Yeah, because what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be forcing your pre-reg. And if your screens are registered perfectly central, but then your printer heads are like that, you try to line it up, just get it back to 0, start fresh every time.
Yeah, right. So I agree with you there. I do agree with you there. Getting back to that straight and instead of calling it 0, we'll call it straight and central.
Yeah. Well, I mean the Anatol Thunder, it has a like a cross mark, so you can actually. I do not have a cruiser. How dare you? That's Sarah, the other podcaster.
All right, okay, I remember now. Hi, Sarah.
She's just gone on our Best Mates podcast. She's doing episode number 2.
I know, yeah. She said that's it. That's the end of our friendship. Now we're done. I won't ever speak to her again. I'm afraid we're done.
What was I going to say? So whereabouts are you then? I'm not angry about it.
Milano.
I know.
Ciao.
How is it? Oh, well, that was very good.
It's this is the first day of what is. I've been doing shows since probably actually doing them since 2016. That means at the other side of the bar, if you like.
Working them, yeah.
And this is the biggest one I've seen. And I've seen some really huge ones in America, the Printing United ones. This, it blows them out of the water. It completely does. Now, that doesn't mean it's all screen print. It's not.
No.
And the screen print department is still bigger than anything I've seen.
Wow.
But coupled with that is anything and everything you could possibly want to think about using when making a garment.
Right.
So that's everything from the chemicals that are used to make reactive dyes for discharge, to the stentors that pull them and stretch them, to the rotary screen printers that decorate the curtains at 3,000 meters a second or whatever it is, to the digital stuff that is. So if you wanted to have cheaply decorated polyester fabric, you would print onto paper first, get your polyester roll and put them through a calendar press of sublimation and just continue to sublimate all day long. It's the easiest, cheapest way. Well, it seems like that's changing, and it seems like direct digital roll-to-roll printing is steaming ahead at a fantastic pace. I love the pace because it means that we've got quality, speed, and cost. So in the past, the cost, it's cheaper to rotary screen print. The quality, all right, the digital wins on the quality because it's supreme registration and supreme resolution. And then the speed, digital was never anywhere near. Well, digital is getting now faster than rotary screen. Bear in mind, rotary screen is a continuous process. So imagine you take your screen, wrap it in a circle.
Yeah.
Put a squeegee in the middle.
Yeah.
And just keep the screen going round and pushing the ink through from the centre. Yeah. And it's just the speed is untrue. Well, now the digital machines are matching that speed. The quality was always better. I've no idea about the cost. I just don't know, but I should imagine it's cheaper. And these fucking machines, a roll of fabric 5 meters long, and they're just eating it up. 5 meters wide.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're just directly printing, so they're missing out the transfer bit in the middle. They're not printing onto paper and then sublimating. They're directly printing on. And then it goes through and gets fixated, and then it goes through another process and gets treated. It's good to see, but it's a little bit scary is how fast this technology has moved over the last, I'm going to say 10 years, which is obviously a long time, but it's still moved very, very fast.
Yeah, oh well. So does this explain why MHM have took world's largest print pallets to appeal to more of that side of the industry, who might be doing big pieces of fabric? Tea towels.
Did you see the post I did?
I saw a beach towel sized print. It looked impressive.
Do you know,
that.
So when this came out, obviously these things don't just happen; they're planned. We plan to take a jumbo oval to the show and a 5,000. And the reason behind it is we'll show how big we can print for panel printers, and we'll show the how fast and accurate and recall we can do for the t-shirt printers. And I've been around jumbo printers since 1987. It's not a problem for me. But do you know what? Over the last 20 years, not seen much of them.
I'm going to
There's
say
a place in Countryside Arts. I'm sure it's Leicestershire. Anyway, and he prints tea towels. And so he's got
Is that
some
what he
big
saw?
screens, but his big screens are like 36, so they're 3 foot.
Yeah.
They're 3 foot long, but they're about 30 wide, so they're not really, really huge. And they'll
Yeah.
fit in what we call an XL machine, just a bit bigger than normal,
All right.
slightly larger screens. This jumbo machine that we've got here, the screens are 5 foot tall.
Flipping hell.
5 foot tall. It's like 1.5 meters, these screens. And it took me right back to when I first started. All of the screens were that big. I'd just forgotten. So we used to print tights. So the pretty poly tights, the seam down the back and the little bow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was printed in water-based. That was Magna water-based LF. Yeah.
No way. I never knew that.
Yeah. So we used to print those for pretty poly. And then everybody wanted the dots, and then they wanted the tiger stripes, and all of a sudden, decorated tights was such a massive thing. And so obviously, they're long. It's a big long screen.
Yeah.
And we used to do socks as well. So we'd do like 5 socks this way, 5 socks that way. So we'd do 10 socks in one stripe. One stripe
Right.
squeegee.
Wow.
So,
Bit like printing koozies.
Big screen, like koozies. Big screens were normal to me. And I'd totally forgotten until I'm working away. And the guy's like, all right, let's set this up then. And it took 2 of them to pull the screen out. Like, what the hell's that? And as one of them passed me, he disappeared. I'm like, just the hell. That's a massive screen. He stood it up. It's like 1.5 meters tall. I'm like, you can't pick them up on your own. You've got to set up with 2 of you. Remember the story with the broken ankle?
Oh, no, I don't. Don't remind me of that story. Not traumatic as it was.
That's why there was 2 of us. The screens were so big.
Just to be on the safe side, yeah.
You couldn't reach over 5 foot.
Flipping out. So, who coated them? Was it a machine?
Yeah. No, it's manual. It was manual.
Phew. So
one of the issues that I had with this whole setup was I love CTS pre-reg. Take the human out of the equation completely, and get the screens registered. You just disappeared.
Yeah. I'm still there. I can hear you.
All right. Get the screens registered perfectly before they get to press. And so I made my point. I almost spat me dummy out at pram, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And like, look, I'm not doing this if we don't get pre-reg. I'm not doing this if we don't do this. I'm not doing this if we don't do this. And I became a bit of a brat about it. And the guy rang me up and said, look, Tony, I totally understand and I agree with you 100%. But there ain't nobody in the country got a spider this fucking
That big. No.
I was
God.
like, yeah, all right, I understand now. Yeah, it's not that you don't want to do it or you don't understand anything about it. It's the fact that, shit, this is too chuffing big. Chuffing.
Yeah.
Chuffing, that's proper Yorkshire, isn't
Huh. So, that's a quite highly detailed print. It's like a photographic sim process. So that must have took some impressive registering.
it? Are you still
And,
there?
can you hear me? What the hell are you doing? Hello?
It didn't, actually.
Oh my
Are
God.
you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think you're getting a delay.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I think you're getting a big delay.
Probably, yeah.
Oh no, it seems to have caught up.
Yeah, I'll keep going.
Right. So what I said was, that was quite an impressive print. Quite a lot of. That's a highly detailed half-tone sim process. So that must have took some impressive registering to get that right, especially without a pre-reg system.
Not really, because although we didn't have a pre-reg system, we have the FPU, if that makes any sense to
Have the
you.
lasers.
No, this lights, LEDs, but yeah. So this is just relying on the human's ability to line up a black printed cross with a lit up laser.
Okay, right. So not too far off.
It's not impossible, it's just a little difficult.
Yeah.
So they were all already close, and the rest of it was just, I said to them, it'll take us ages to clean it, to set it up. But the guy I'm printing with is an expert. He has his own school and things. He's lived and breathed screen printing for as long as I can live. So for him, wrenching a screen up is the same as living and breathing.
Yeah.
So he'll throw the screen and drop it down and go, that's it. And what me and you would deliberate over a minute or 2-3 minutes and then
just
probably
get it
not
done.
get it right, takes him 10 seconds. So that's the difference, this high skill level at press point. I always get on my horse because the high skill level at press point is usually the bit that's missing. But in this instance, I'd been kicking off all this time about we must have pre-reg, we must have CTS, we must have this. And he's like, don't worry about it, Tony, I'll just set it up in 2 minutes. I'm faster than CTS.
Wow.
And as it turns out, he is. He's not only faster, he's probably more accurate.
Wow. Flip it now. That's an impressive skill. That must be, what? That's no 10-year job. That's a lifetime of registering.
No, he's he's in his 50s, so yeah. His lifetime, like I say, lifetime of regging screens and not being frightened of it and having the confidence to do it and knowing the press inside out. So, yeah, hats off to Angelo, who actually just made it sing and dance. Despite Billy Big Balls from England going, you must do this, and you must do this, and you must do this. He just went, fuck that, Tony. Let's just set it up.
Chuck it in.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, actually. It doesn't show the beauty, the finesse of investing loads of money in a pre-reg system. So I am sort of right. It doesn't show that. What it more highlights is get some proper staff.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive to the main point of being there, which is selling these systems. But in a way,
that's me sitting back down and shutting the fuck up.
So how many more days are you there for then?
So I'm here the whole entirety of the show, and the show goes Thursday to Wednesday.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Okay. So who else is there? Everybody?
Pretty much everybody's here. Every machine is here. So the M&Rs are here, the rocks are here, which are normal. But then there's a plethora of other manufacturers
that you don't typically hear of.
I don't normally see. So KTK is a Portuguese manufacturer. They were closely linked to Rock back in the day. The machines are similar, but they're a good company, and I like them. But then also I've got, believe it or not, an Acme printer.
An Acme? That sounds familiar.
ACME. It's from Roadrunner. Everything that Roadrunner bought was Acme.
Right. Does it blow up?
I've got. Yeah, and it's a Chinese manufacturer. He's got a little oval there, and it's banging away, and it's got a digital on it. And then I've got URS at this side, and they've got a little oval with a digital on it. And then I've got Sulfet, and they've got a little oval with a digital on it. I'm like,
oh no,
yeah,
that's not a good sign, is it?
There's definitely something in the wind here. So it seems like people want to push a digital hybrid, which is where you print the white base and put a CMYK digital on top.
Just a printhead over the top. Yeah.
But I'm not 100% convinced. You saw what we were printing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you went on your show and tell.
So we're printing this. I mean, the camera's crap, but.
So has that been done with the laser unit, by the way? Because that looks absolutely incredible, detail-wise.
This is the old-fashioned. This is the guy with supreme talent printing and lining up the films himself. He's done the sets himself inside Photoshop with channels, the same way we would. He's separated it into a red channel, a blue channel, a yellow channel, and then he's got a white and a black.
That's awesome. So it's CMYKW.
It's more RYB than CMY.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Because it's not cyan. Cyan is a distinct shade and strength. Magenta is a distinct shade and strength. So we've swapped that cyan, which is quite clean aqua bluey, for a process blue, which is a process blue C, which has got white in it. for opacity. We've swapped the yellow for a 1-2-3 to give a sepia tone in the background. And then we've swapped the magenta for a warm red. Pantone warm red.
Yeah.
So using those opaque colours and allowing them to mix, because believe it or not, there's only one flash. I'm going to say there's only one flash, but I actually used two. And that's because I did the strike off and I was super impressed with it. I loved it. In fact, I showed you the picture.
Yeah.
I was super impressed with it. The opacity was good. The shading was good. The colours were good. And the guy says to me, are you double hitting? I went, no, I don't like double hitting. So everything's single stroke.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit weak. But okay, all right, it's fine. Yeah, okay. And he says, look, if you have any trouble, if you bust a screen or pop a screen, there is a spare base white there, but it's on a 120. Your base white at the minute is on a 90. I said, all right, okay.
Oh.
I've
So
got
you
a
chucked the
space.
120 in, eh?
I've got an extra space and
like
an extra flash.
Yeah.
Can I put two base whites down? Is that cheating? It's not really, because it's there and I can use it. So the colour order was base, flash, no cooling station, second base on a high mesh, flash, no cooling station, blue, yellow, red, highlight white, which I already had. And the highlight white is purely here.
Yeah, you can tell.
In her face. That's all the place it is, really. And the highlight white was already there. So, in effect, you could argue it's three whites.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And then a black right at the end. And it needs the black to kill some of the stark opacity that's in there.
Right.
But from the two bases, nothing's flashed. It's all wet on wet, with no rip-off, no pick-off, no build-up, no nasty blocking or anything. So, yeah, I was super impressed. So the ink was another, I want to say nightmare, but I'm going to say challenge instead. So this is where I have to be careful. So I'm going to be politically balanced. And you can
don't upset our sponsors.
No, you can read between the lines. It will please our sponsors.
Oh, good.
So, the guy over in Italy said to me what we're going to do. He was a little late in giving me all the information that I need, but I really didn't need anything. And then when he told me everything a week before the show, he named a brand of ink that he wanted to use.
Is it Italian?
I resolutely did not want to use this brand of ink, which is why I'm not naming it. If you know the legend of King Arthur...
Can't we play that game, though? The Legend of King... Oh, I know what it is. All right,
do you know the legend? Do you know the legend of King Arthur?
Yeah. You don't have to say anymore. I know exactly what you mean.
This brand, I did not want to use wet on wet because historically I've had issues with build-up on this.
Right.
But my Italian maestro, who I respect fully, was 100% behind them. He wanted to use them. But being a true professional, he said to me, use whatever ink you want. I don't mind. If you want to use something else, use something else. So I rang our friends at Avient and said, look, can you get me some Pantone colours in a rush? And they were like, absolutely, Tony, no problem. What do you need? I don't know. What do you mean? Well, I'm waiting for the designs to be finalised, so then when he sends me the breakdown, then I can get them. And now we're 5 days from the show, and I finally get the Pantones, of which one doesn't make any sense. The numbers are transposed.
Right.
So I'm forwards and backwards, pulling in favours left, right, and centre. And there's a particular customer service assistant at Wilflex, she's probably head of customer services, called Debbie, and she has moved heaven and earth for me to use Avient inks on the press, with one small caveat. I gave them a list of 10 Pantones to mix, 12 Pantones to mix. Yep. I wanted big quantities because I'm here for 6 days solidly printing. So, I'm 2 and 3 gallons at a time. And they got back to me and said, look, Tony, we want to help you, but We just don't have the time to mix all these colours in the quantity you want and then try and use the new EU customs law to ship them into Italy. It's a nightmare. Not only ship them to Italy, but ship them to an exhibition centre with no point of contact.
Yeah.
You need EORI numbers, you need all sorts of there are all sorts of little bits of paper you have to fill in now that you didn't have to do before.
I've sent a few to France and it's just such an headache.
It's horrible now. So I pulled in as many favours as I could, and Debbie and Jeanette Hardy and all the team at Avient Speciality Inks really did save the day, and the inks got there yesterday. Yesterday morning, everything I asked for, with one small caveat: they couldn't mix the colours. So they gave me RFU.
Right.
Do you know what RFU is?
No.
Don't be rude.
I was thinking of something, but I can't come up with it sharp enough to say it.
Ready for use.
Right. I've seen that. I've seen those initials on pots of ink, but I didn't know what it meant.
Ready for use means, okay, we're not going to call it Pantone 485 because we're not allowed to. Because if we do, we're going to have to give Pantone some money for every pot of ink we got.
Right.
But this is your national red.
Right. That makes total sense.
This 1, 2, 3 is a Pantone colour. But it looks very much like gold. So this is gold.
Right, I get
it.
It's
pre-mixed. So you don't have to mix it through the mixing system every time. It's a standard set of colours that pretty much everybody's going to use straight off the shelf, ready for use.
That makes sense.
And they did an excellent job in matching my Pantones to their list of ready-for-use colours, apart from 2, which I had to mix on press myself with a stick. That's not the end of the world. I can do that. You know, one of the browns. Brown is just orange with a little bit of red, with a little bit of black, and a little bit of navy. The brown was lovely by the time we'd done. So between us, we solved a big problem. We got the ink there. It's ready for use. I published a few bits on it yesterday. Got told off. The RFU's only just been launched. I forgot to tag it. I'm just like, it's just Epic Ink. No, it's Epic RFU. And well, this is sort of like the first time people even know it exists. All right, okay. I'll give it its proper title then. Sorry. But it's a good off the shelf ink, close to a Pantone. If you want to sell to customers using your colour swatch and tell customers to pick from this list, that's a great way of doing it. In saying, look, if you want a red, it's fire engine red. If you want a pink, it's dog pecker pink. You know, if you want a grey, it's Macy grey.
Right, I like it.
So, it's a good way of using a standard colour palette, and it saves mixing. So. I've thrown. Sorry, I've got a bit of a delay. I'll let you go.
Go on. All I was going to say is during this conversation where Avient got you out at shit, got you a ton of ink, RFU ink.
Yeah.
Did the conversation of sponsorship crop up? Because Magna's not going to go for it, so let's go for big dogs. Let's go for Avient, the all-encompassing overlords of ink.
Absolutely, yeah. Let me put that to her tomorrow. And one of the issues, you know, because nobody listens, it's only just me and you. The artwork had the name of the King Arthur ink on it.
Right.
So I had to tape it off right sharp. Otherwise, it would have been a bit of a PR nightmare. And I didn't get a chance to add Avient's logo onto this art. So, you know, they've done all this work for me and they've pulled me out of the shit and they've really, 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 you know, stepped up to the plate, and their name's not even on the bleeding print.
No, but we can do one better and we can talk about it on the Chippy Tea podcast. Priceless. Multiple. Can't put a price on that.
You can get exposed to all 20 of our listeners.
I've been trying to tell Rock to knock 10 grand off this press, so because I've got a podcast.
if you give them some good
Don't you know who I am?
Do you know who we are?
It hasn't worked somehow. I don't know why.
Bumped into Eric from Night Owls. He's over here.
Oh, really? Right. And how is Eric? Is he? Because you see a lot of these shops that we all talk to at Long Beach, mainly the American side, obviously. How many actually come across the pond over here to Europe?
Very few. Very few.
That's the impression I had.
Yeah, but this is a big show, so this is worth the trip. You know, you'll have to get on a plane for about 12, 13 hours.
I know, that's a hell of a flight, isn't it?
But it's really interested in the Lucia laser, which is here, the screen cube is here.
Wow.
And the other bits and pieces as well. He's doing like a water-based camp next July, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, good to catch up with people like that. I think overall it's been a really good first day. I think it's been unpredictable whether it was going to be busy or quiet. The thing with it, most shows are 3 days.
Yeah.
So you get that rush on the first day, it builds on the second, and then everybody fucks off on the third. This one, we've been 6 days. If you're going to come, you're not going to come for the 6 days.
No.
So you either come for the first 3 or you come for the last 3.
Yeah.
The last 3 are weekend. So I think Saturday, Sunday, Monday is going to be huge.
Yeah. Can it be done in a day? I mean, if you're interested in the screen printing side only.
Absolutely not. And this is the only show I've ever said that about.
God.
I've been to shows where it's been classed as huge. Printing United, for instance, is still the largest I'd been to until this point. And it took me 45 minutes, constant walking at a constant pace to do the full circle of the show.
Wow.
Now, normally I can do that in about 15 to 20 minutes at a normal show. So 45 minutes was like, wow, this is a big show. That's not stopping and chatting shit to anybody. That's just walking around looking at everything. This one, I think there are 5 halls, and I've got lost in one.
God.
Physically got lost looking for Avient. I'm like, where are they? I don't know where they are. I know they're here somewhere. They're in this hall. Can't find them.
Flipping Nora. Christ. Sounds all right.
Huge concern.
So have you had much time to actually walk about and see much?
Yeah, I try and go in the morning when it's quiet and there's no customers there and you're not interrupting anybody. And so I can honestly say, right, I've been to these shows so many times, nothing ever catches my eye. Nothing.
I know, I was going to ask you that. That was my question.
If you remember at TVP Stuttgart, I saw that robot thing and I thought, oh, a robot, that's going to be awesome. And all they were doing, putting glue on the beds.
Yeah.
So, Brother have a little robot that puts the shirts onto the machine.
Yeah.
Loads the shirts.
Yeah.
I liked that. But, downside, it didn't replace the person. A person still has to present the shirt to the robot.
Oh, wow. It's kind of...
But then they had nobody touched it until it was printed then. So it went all the way through. I think manual handling of garments is going to be big in the next sort of 5 to 10 years because it costs 10 to 15 quid an hour to employ someone to sit there and do this all day long, putting a shirt on. Whereas if you can replace that with a robot that doesn't think, never has a piss break, doesn't come in late, never turns up high, doesn't argue with all the girls, I'm going to do it.
Manual labour gets so expensive.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing, and Brother have started that a little bit. And in the last 2 hours of the show, the last hour and a half of the show, have we got time for this story? This is me that wants to rush, and I'm all out of stories.
I know. We're on your clock. You tell me.
I know, yeah. So I'm at the show. We're on these 2 presses. These 2 presses are run by tablets, and the tablets are usually connected by Wi-Fi, or, just to register them, and they're always set up like that. And now at a show, we would never register them. We would never set them up on Wi-Fi. It just defeats the object. And I've been printing for a couple of hours, and this young girl comes along and says, "Can I just play with this?" Yeah, sure. Stop the machine, and she's playing with the tablet. She's in the background of the tablet. What the fuck are you doing? Anyway, she's disappeared, and she goes off to the next press, and she does the same thing again. Now I'm so laid back. I'm like, you do you, sweetheart. It's fine. I don't care. I'm all right. Whatever. And she comes back again. Can I do it again? Yeah, no worries. Yeah. And she goes over to the other one again. It's about 6 hours past, and I know she's playing about with it. And she's got a logo on her back. So I think she's from the exhibition centre. And somebody's paid the Wi-Fi bill and we're connecting everything up. Awesome. Yeah. I guess to 4 o'clock, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, sweet? What are you doing? what are you messing with? Oh, we're getting the production data from the press. Whoa.
Ow. Why?
Stop. What do you mean? For the last 10
comparing
years,
it to others.
For the last 10 years, I've asked for the production data that comes off these presses to be exported to an Excel spreadsheet so I can see when it starts, when it stops, what it stops for, how many it produced, how fast it was going, how many flashes were on. All this information I can put into a graph, into a spreadsheet, so I've got a production planner. Perfect. Yeah. I've asked for this information for years, and everybody said it's just impossible. It's impossible. Turns out these two computer geeks have sussed it, written a program that will pull all the data from the print press when it starts, when it stops, how many pieces are left, which flashes were used, how many's left. And not only that, you can take that data and throw it to the press. So you sit there and go, right, okay, next job is 500 pieces. I want you to put a flash here, double hit this one, set that on there, send the data. And I'm like...
That's cool. Data's so powerful.
Without exception, everywhere I install a press, without exception, doesn't matter what brand, everybody asks me, can I take that data and analyse it so I can see where I'm losing money, where I'm making money? I'm sorry, it's not possible.
Yeah, you almost got to manually record it.
It's not possible. I'm sorry, it's not possible. You're going to have to set up another tablet here that goes, I started at this time, I stopped at this time, I started at this time, I stopped at this time.
Well, I think, isn't it Bryce who has an iPad next to his and he has Monday, so
he's got Monday.com,
time records.
And they start and stop. Yeah, so most people have that now. But this thing takes the data from the press, which squeegees were used, what speed they were on, what flashes were used, how many seconds, what GPS of the screens was.
So hang on, this is in the MHM. This is already built in. It's just she's worked out how to find it and nobody else knew all this time.
That is the best explanation I could possibly think of, yeah.
Ooh, that's awkward, isn't it?
It's not
if
awkward
you're MHM.
At all. No, she's working with MHM now.
No, but I mean, it's awkward for MHM. All this time you've been saying, can't be done. Your machine's got it built in all this time.
You know I love MHM, but I swear to God, sometimes they keep things secret. It's like, oh yeah, our machine will set itself up with no skill whatsoever. Oh right, is that a new factor? No, we've done this since 1982. You didn't think to tell anybody? So now I've got a way of extracting data from the press, directly from the press. Not only extracting data from it, I can push data to it.
Really? And what would that use have?
So pushing the data to it is right. Okay, I'm going to set this press up on set this job up on press number 1, and the guy's going to sit there for an hour and he's going to work out the best speed, the best double hit, the best single hit, the best flash time, the best
you can preload
GPS location, and then he's going to save that information locally on the press. So if it comes back again, I'll put it back on that press load, and everything will go back to normal. Well, now I can put it on another press and load that information from press 1, throw it to press 2, and have all that information at my fingertips done. So I don't have to go through the hour of heartache trying to find the best parameters.
I would bet money that there'll be shops who listen to this episode, and that one piece of information there, you'll be getting messages for that. That's awesome.
2016, I have never seen anything that's got me giddy.
And that was it.
This was 4 o'clock today. We're only on 7 now. And I'm like, my mind is still blown by the fact that they've worked out a way to get the info, throw it. They're working with MHM. There's a product you can buy now they've been doing it for the last 2 years. It's already in at least 50 shops. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
really?
And you kept that quiet?
And it's a secret. Why is it a secret? Yeah, like, I reckon every shop I go to, I could put that in.
Yeah.
Now, it's a standalone product. It's probably got a price on it. I don't know the price at all. I wasn't even
Sure it
interested.
has.
I'd have given me firstborn to have it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's data is invaluable. It really is.
It is. Very powerful. Very powerful indeed. What do you like for time?
Close.
Where you going? You're fat for tea?
Yeah. In a nutshell. Yeah.
I thought you would be.
Yeah.
How's your running regime been going? Have you got your runs in?
This week is a resting week. So I spoke to my running coach and said, look, I'm in Milan. I'm working 12-hour days. I'm in the middle of the city. Getting a 20-mile run in is just, it's not going to work. So she worked out me a plan to do some intervals and stuff. And so I was up at 5 this morning, running through Milan to the centre.
Wow.
I did 5 miles this morning before I went to
Wow.
work.
I'll be fucked. I'll be like, right, I'm off to bed.
I'm thinking that myself. I'm fueled by Zipfer. It's okay.
Zipfer. Right,
So this week is going to be quiet. This week's going to be a little bit slow on running, but we'll get there.
Got to do what you can.
I think if we sort of like go back to screen printing for a while, apart from the data shit that is really important, and I just need to get as much information as possible out of these people about how to implement this and get it into shops as quickly as possible.
You need to sort areas off a bit.
We'll go back to the sort of like the print here, which people are looking at and going, yeah, it's nice. Do you know what artwork makes it nice? The guy doing the seps, he's awesome. He's talented. After that, it's the on-press parameters. How did we get it to print wet on wet? Believe it or not, I've got 4 flashes available and I turned them off. They were in and I didn't even use them. Because I took the decision that actually this job will be easier cold than hot.
Right, so that's a good question. Why and how can a job be easier cold rather than hot? Like, because you think the easy option for Band-Aid, the plaster, whatever you want to call it, is to just have flashes between colours, and that is the simplest, easiest way to print it. It's just not the most efficient, it's the slowest way to do it. You're saying there are actually cases where sometimes it's better to print wet on wet and cold.
You remember my assessment on skill level is I count the flash units in a press shop.
Yeah,
and if that number is high, the skill level's low, and if that number is low, the skill level's high. And we go back to this because it's a question I got asked only today. Can you go to China and teach these people not to buy a press that's 36 stations long but can only print 4 colours because of all flashes and cooling stations? I said, I absolutely can, yes. They won't listen to me, and as soon as I leave the country, they'll go back to their old ways, because flashing and cooling after every print colour means that they don't have to use cognitive thought and a good skill understanding of how the print works. In other words, they can get away with murder.
Yeah.
So this job, this particular 7-colour job is working because I picked the mesh count, I picked the blades, I picked the angles, speeds, pressures, colour order. Not one made a difference, but the combination of them all made it so that I was going to get some deposit underneath, but it wasn't going to hurt anything. On the ink type, the RFU doesn't build up because it's Wilflex. Right. It's not designed to build up. Right. So, but if you half cook it, it will build up.
Right. I see. So this answers my question: why you would be better off doing it cold?
Yeah, because I would rather have the deposit of wet on wet, because that's what it's designed to do, than half dry on wet. Half dry, the top bit that's half dry, that's the bit that's going to rip off. That bit's going to solidify underneath my next screen.
Yeah, start drying.
Although I had the option of those two flashes in the place where they were, I could have turned them on, no problem. But that would have kept adding heat to the pallets. That heat would have started to half cure some of my colours because it wasn't enough heat to dry them.
No.
And therefore I start to get this sticky ink. So the solution is throw loads of heat at it so they fully dry, and then I don't get the issue, which is what we do with water-based when we try and heat everything up, up. Or go the other way and run it cold. So I had the first flash on 3 seconds, the second flash on 3 seconds. By the time it did 12 stations and came back to me, the temperature of the pallet was around about 40 to 45. So it was well below any gelling, well below any setting, well below any pick-off. And I just got the normal build-up that you would normally get as if you were printing onto a white garment, which is copable. Did I have to wash it? Yeah, I washed it at 500 prints.
Can't knock that, can you?
Bit of peace of mind for me, to be honest, that's all. Nobody else.
Yeah. No, God. So I was printing the job. Oh, so it was the job that I showed you when I was registering it. Obviously, I was flashing between my test prints, and it was getting a bit hot. And so as I was looking at the test print on the pallet, so here's the pallet, I sort of leant on it with my hand. I was sort of like, you know how you do, you lean on your pallet and you look in, don't you? You look up close. I leant on it.
And it moved.
Pallet went. I shit myself. I was like, what the hell? So the pallet went like that, and we're like, hang on, this isn't normally flexible. And I don't know what I've done. I don't know if it seems fine now, but it must have been that hot that it had gained a load of flex. That frightened me.
Yeah.
I didn't because we've talked about, you've mentioned if you get too much heat for those pallets, they can warp. I believe you now.
The top. You've done this 3 times today now. Sometimes you talk bullshit, Tony, but occasionally you get proved right. Thanks, mate. So yeah, you've got this. You've got the top layer, which is getting shitloads of heat. Then you've got the bottom layer, which is just sitting at normal temperature, and we're waiting on convection from the top to the bottom to heat it up. But if we go really hot on the top, we get a bimetallic strip where it's pulling against the bottom, and we get this warping effect.
Let me get a pallet. I properly thought. So this bit here. So this is a standard M&R pallet.
Yeah.
So this bracket, I thought, is this glued on or something? And the heat has actually made it so that this was actually like pulling away. Do you know what I mean? Because you think these were like welded.
You see, that's aluminium. And aluminium goes soft with the heat.
It almost felt like, let's see if I can do this on camera. So I was leaning on a pallet like this, putting my weight on it. And it almost felt like, as I put my weight on this, it tipped. But the bracket here had sort of come away. So it was almost like there was a gap here. That's what it felt like. Because it was obvious, we're talking about like
too much heat. Too much heat is an issue.
Wow. So that shit me up a bit, that. So yeah.
Got to be
Don't
careful.
get your pallets too hot.
We've got to throw it all the way back to the machines and the ink and the screens, and the whole theory of the system is designed to print wet on wet. We put flashes in because we've forgotten some of the skill we need to make it print wet on wet. And the easy solution is to turn the flash on. Then I don't have to think about it. I can use any mesh I want. I can use any blade I want. I can use any speed and pressure I want. All I've got to do is make it look pretty, rather than going back to the fundamentals of, looking pretty is 10% of it. The other 90% of it is protecting what you just made look pretty.
Yeah, you see, I printed this flash between every colour, but I mean, I probably could have got away with it. Like the yellow, maybe.
We had this discussion, didn't we? You flashing between every colour costs you nothing because it has to go under the flash every time anyway. So it doesn't cost you any time. So there is no benefit from you printing wet on wet. You
It
may
could.
as well.
Electric?
You may as well. It's on anyway.
Well, no, because it's a flash, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. But you may as well use it if it's there, and have an easier life and produce the garments faster. Than
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, nobody's going to care. But look at this! I did it with no flashes. I don't give a fuck. Look at this! I did it flashed every colour. It's still the same number of fucks I give. None.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So you may as
I
well
don't know.
take advantage of it. I mean, I was gonna turn the 2 flashes on because I had space for 2 flashes and I've got 2 flashes in there. So shall I turn them on? It might make it look a little bit brighter. I went, no, I'm okay with it. There's only me and my really high level
Yeah,
of perfection
you're satisfying
wants it
yourself,
to look
aren't you?
that good. If anything, it looks a bit pink. And I wanted
Yeah.
to try and save that a little bit by maybe flashing the yellow. And I thought, no, I'll just change the ink colour. I just,
Yeah.
and I did. Actually, from the first print to this print, there's a difference. I changed the physical yellow. So the first yellow was a sepia, like an orangey colour, and I wasn't getting these greens up here, and her hair wasn't as blonde as it should be down here.
Right.
So I changed the yellow to a more acid lemon yellow. Again, RFU, Epic RFU, which, by the way, cures at 130.
That's low. It's usually like 160, 65.
Yeah. That's a really good low temperature. That's a good energy saver. Turning your dryer down 30%.
Well, low cure plastisol exists, but I don't think it's 130, is it? I don't think it's that far. Like, that's a step?
130, 140 normally. Below
Right.
the polyester bleed level at 140 now.
That's cool, that. Will flex, eh?
That's cool.
I like...
That's cool.
I
I like what you did there.
Did on purpose. Totally did on purpose. I'm a big fan of the Avient specialty inks.
Is that
I
because
wish I could afford more of them.
Yeah. I think if you had some Avient specialty inks, you might be able to showcase them more and maybe convince other people how good they are. Maybe we should speak to someone about them.
You need to have a word with your mate. Get me some specialty inks. I will show them buggers off. I'd love to play with all the different inks.
But you can even play with Magna now as well, because it's under the same umbrella, so you're all right.
I've got all the Magna I need. For now. When the auto comes into the premises, there is a possibility that I may
used to say
venture.
if, we've gone to when.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
Good.
I am. It's happening. It's got to happen. But yeah, I mean, I've spoken about it before. The high solid acrylic white bases and then plastisol top colours. I won't be surprised if I venture back towards printing more water based once I've got an auto. When it's a much more easier task to manage, you know.
Yeah.
So
It's less of a spiral to do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Less stress involved. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to wrap it up? Because I know you've got very little time.
Yeah,
we've had an hour and 10.
So
it's going to be an hour episode.
I think we're doing all right at an hour.
Sorry, it was a little bit short, but
compared to it was going to be nothing. I think what we'll do is I'll try and throw some content over to you while I'm over here.
Yeah, we'll get plenty on Instagram.
I've got 4 designs to do on this press, of which the prima donna, the beautiful woman, was one, and I was supposed to change 2 or 3 times a day, hand on heart. I loved that design so much, I didn't want to change it.
Yeah, right.
And I really did. I really did think that design, when I threw it in and just took the first print, I was like,
"That's cool.
Angelo, this is cool." Well, no, you need to do this and change this. No, this is proper cool. I love this. The one that was on my story on the white cotton, big white cotton, same woman, but that wasn't red, yellow, and blue. That was 3 shades of flesh.
Oh, right.
So that there was a blue in the background, but then the face was made up of 3 shades of flesh because it was always going to print onto white cotton, so there was no need to do this CMYK crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, worked really well. I'll change it tomorrow for some big, thick, open area shit that will drive me insane. And if you only see a minute of it and then it goes back to the woman again, you know why.
Right.
It's pushed me to the limit.
Push it to the limit. Well, I look forward to seeing that. We'll get plenty out on Instagram. This episode will go out ASAP.
Yeah.
I maybe give us a little bit of feedback. I feel a bit rubbish after our mates' comments that we waffle on a little bit too much. So, recently I've sort of felt a little bit like, is it good enough? Are we is there more we can do to make this an entertaining / educational podcast? So a little bit of feedback would be cool, and I'll try and make it a little bit more exciting on my part. Tony's basically Rain Man of screen print, so we don't have to worry about Tony.
To go with that one.
That was a compliment somehow.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. It's there somewhere. Not counting cards. I'm not counting cards. We're always up for content suggestions. But bear in mind, me and Danny love doing this, and that's what it's about at the end of the day. We're not screen print guru. You must do this. You must do that. You must do this. We do put a disclaimer at the front of every episode that it might not be screen print related, and if you can't handle that, that's a you problem, not an us problem. So, so deal with it. Maxie.
Sounds like a you problem. I don't know.
I think we'll wrap it up at that. It's a little short. We've still got a good hour of content there. So, and it still leaves me time enough to go out and have a beer in Milano.
Let's ask the most important question of the episode. What are you having for tea then?
It's going to have to be pasta, isn't it? Like, it's either pizza or pasta when you're here. You can't beat pizza or pasta when you're here. I had pasta last night, so it's probably going to be pizza tonight.
Oh, I bet that's nice, that. Pizza in Italy, you can't beat that, can you?
If we just throw back to just a really small one, my first ever visit to Italy was 2016. Came here to suss out coagula virus inks.
Oh yeah.
Water-based ink
just
system.
Speak about them.
Based in Bergamo, which is not far from Milan. And I came here to sort all that out. I landed 2016 completely and utterly green, never really been abroad, working much. Google Translate didn't work, didn't have anything switched on my phone for data. Landed in Bergamo, zero English spoken. Couldn't even find directions. I'm like, left, right, that way. Eat. Looking for a restaurant. I'd walked about half a mile, tried to get directions, completely and utterly failed. Saw this little restaurant, sat down. The woman didn't understand English. I didn't understand Italian. But to this day, it's the nicest pizza I've ever had in my life. And it was not what we call a pizza, which has got like everything on it, including baked beans.
No, they're very simple, aren't they?
It was simple. It had green leaves on it. It had the best cheese, the best sauce, the best dough. And it was, to this day, still the best pizza I've ever had.
No pineapple.
So I'll let you know. I'll let you know tomorrow. No pineapple at all, ever. No kebab, no beans, no fried egg.
Oh, have you ever had a doner meat pizza? I mean, it's so wrong, but
doner meat and bolognese.
Bolognese,
yeah,
God, we'd get kicked out of the country. Yeah.
I'll have a kebab and bolognese sauce on a pizza. Then you wake up with it stuck to your face at 3 a.m.
You do, don't
that
you?
was a mistake.
God, I'm so glad I don't drink anymore. Oh, not a lot anyway. Right. Happy 47th episode, everybody. Be good. Stay safe. Give your mum and dad me love. I've had a lovely day talking to Tony. It's only been brief, but I'm sure we'll catch you next time for a slightly longer episode.
That's the best sign off I've ever heard. Oh, you're going to do them all now. I'll sign in, you sign off.
All right. Well, I'll be trying to remember your regular. So this has been Chippy Tea episode 47. No, I can't remember. I can't remember what you say. You'll have to do it. It just feels wrong.
No. You've taken up the reins now. You're going to run with it. What do we want? Do we want to endorse the liking, the subscribing, the following, the commenting? So off you go.
Please, for the love of screen printing, just leave us a little comment. Tap that little like button. I think it's a little heart shape. Ring that little bell, as we all say on YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube. So I think that's important. I think if you subscribe, I think that plays a part. And generally just flood us with engaging content and comments. And that would mean the world to us, because it takes a little bit of effort and a little bit of time and a little bit of passion and heart. And it doesn't take a lot to write a comment, does it?
See, you sound much better at it than I am.
I'm sure that'll go down well, just guilt tripping people into it. Anyway, we're off.
Work.
All the best.
I'll
Chippy Tea episode
see
47. Civvy.
I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tea.